Hello everyone, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon. So last episode, Shiki had a nighttime stroll, I guess with Arc Wade, them hunting Roa's minions, his remnants I guess, right? And they found him, dealt with them, and then yeah, CL showed up. So let's continue, let's see what happens today. Her habit flutters in the wind as she takes in the scene. The executor watches on from 20 meters above the ground. Her duty is the extermination of the dead apostles running rampant around town, but that has already been dealt with. She hunted down the last of the rank 4 dead apostles last night. All that remains is to find and destroy their sire's coffin and their feeding ground, although as a few moments ago, the latter is no longer an issue.
空想具現化を惜しげもなく使うなんて。何を考えているんですか、あの吸血鬼は。
She mutters to herself in frustration. The executor has long been observing Arkawade Brunstead in silence, but after what she has just witnessed, she can no longer contain her disdain.
彼も彼です。弱みでも握られているんでしょうか。
She turns her eyes to the young man running with Arkawade's hand in his. That only serves to confirm her irritation. Is it a vampire she resents? Or is it the sight of the two of them together? The executor cannot tell. Once they vanish in the direction of the park, she shifts her attention back to the demolished apartment complex. Already a group of nearby residents have gathered at the scene, drawn by a commotion. Several police cars peel off from the main street in front of the station, heading this way.
迷宮入りの案件がまた一つ増えましたね。事後処理はあなたの方でこなしてくれるのですか、司祭代行。
The executor continues facing ahead, but her words are directed at the darkness behind her.
なんだてめえ、気づいてんならそう言えってな。声をかけるタイミングがつかめなかったじゃねえか。
A small whistle of wind cuts through the air. Like the executor standing on her high perch, the voice belongs to another who lords over the skies. Only he needs no foothold. The 12-year-old acting prelate Mario Gallo Bestino perches behind the executor on thin air.
ノエル先生からあなたのことは聞いています。互いに自己紹介は必要ありませんね。
まあな、てめえの経歴は嫌ってほど目を通した。今さら何を聞くまでもねえ。んで、あれの処理の話な。じき俺の使えねえ部下が駆けつけて話をつけるんで、てめえはとっとと消えていいぜ。下の野獣馬どもにいちいち暗示をかける必要はねえよ。
Looking back down, she sees a number of black cars arriving on the scene after the police. In them are Mario's very own inspectors, bought and paid for. Within the hour, they'll have spun this inexplicable catastrophe into a simple, unfortunate accident.
それは結構。こちらも手間が省けます。
So what are they gonna say? Gas leak? It exploded, and that's why everything is in rubbles, I guess, right now?
ですが、いいのですか？ノエル先生には厳しく詰問したと聞きますが。
埋葬機関の犬が権力になびく玉かよ。だいたい殺されても値を上げないって話じゃねえかてめえ。マグロ相手に拷問するほど暇じゃねえしな。てめえらの単独行動には目をつぶってやるよ。それとも任意同行するか、おい。
構いませんよ。司祭代行の言葉は尊重します。ただし、それが正式な手続きによるものならですが。
Mario does not answer, but his lips curl in amusement.
話が早くて助かるぜ。さすが歴戦の強者だな、大公者。というわけで、てめえとの情報交換はなしだ。それとも借りを作っておくか？
必要ありません。こちらはこちらの責務を。あなたはあなたの職務を果たしてください、マリオ。
へえ、俺はてっきりここで殺し合いになると思ったんだがね。邪魔者は事前に潰すのがてめえらの流儀だ。大司祭直下の俺は目の上のコブじゃないのかい？
The young boy's aggressive tone is a clear provocation. The executor shrugs it off with so much as looking over her shoulder.
そうですね。ただの司祭代行ならそれもあり得たでしょう。ですがあなたなら例外です。いえ、ラウレンティスの人間であれば誰であれ信用に値します。
はあ？なんだそれ。信用に値するだ。権力に尻尾は振らねえてめえが？たった今背筋主義にでも目覚めたか？いやまあ、確かに金ほど信用しやすい見返りはねえけどな。
はあ、顔は似ていますが兄上とは正反対ですね、あなたは。心の底から失望しました。
ああ、ちょっと待てよ、尻でか女。あのクソ兄貴がなんだって？
The way Mario speaks, man, he's so foul. Badass. Oh my god.
私はあなたの兄を知っています。以前、一度だけ同じ任務に就いたことがあるので。ラウレンティス枢機卿の息子ということで、周囲からは誤解されていましたが、彼は尊敬に値する人物でした。その彼が言ったのです。もし弟たちに会うことがあったら、なるべく手加減してやってくれ。ひねくれているが、根は青臭い正義感だ。
なんだそれ、みっともねえ。死ねばいいってんだ、あのクソ兄貴。使い捨てのメス犬一匹に何媚び売ってやがる、ラウレンティスの面汚しが。
ええ、その一点であなたたちは信用できます。父上の名誉を守る、そのためにあなたたちは行動している。ここで私を捕獲するより他に優先すべきことがあるのでしょう。
なんだそりゃ、親父の名誉を守る。そんなことはあのクソ兄貴がほざきやがったのか？
いいえ、そういったことは一度も。とにかく無口な方だったので、ただ共に過ごして私がそう感じただけの話です。
これだから20歳そこそこのガキは半端に理想に燃えてやがるから始末に終えねえ。
昔の話ですよ。あれから6年、今はお父上の補佐に務めているのでは。彼のことです。立派な人物になっているでしょう。
As the executor reminisces about the past, her audience looks on with cold eyes. The acting prelate grinds his teeth.
いい、しらけた。もうてめえとは交渉なんざしてやらねえ。勝手に一人で土地狂ってろ。どうせロア狙いだろ。こっちも同じだが、用があるのは奴の攻防だけだ。本体はてめえに任せてやるよ。
The wind whistles as Mario takes his leave. His previous standoffish bluster is nowhere to be seen. The executor must have gotten under his skin.
待ちなさい、司祭代行。一件だけあなたに頼みたいことがありました。それを条件に、ここから見逃してあげましょう。
はあ？
Mario's fingers stop. He makes the turn to tell the executor off, only to realize that her threat was not an idle one. Just one solitary string holds him aloft. The executor has stood surrounded by over 700 spirit threads for a minute now, until a moment ago when she incinerated all but one in total silence.
魔術栄唱はなかったな。指先から魔力を流しただけで燃やしやがったか。嘘みてえな生成量だ。並の魔術師の何百倍だ。とっくに化け物だな、大公主シエル。まあそうでもなけりゃイデアブラッドを2つも3つも保持していねえか。
おしゃべりは結構。最後の一本も燃やしますか。
待てやめろ。転落死なんて間抜けな死に方は冗談でも勘弁だ。ってもう燃えてる燃えてる。相変わらず容赦ねえなてめえ。
He's actually scared right now.
もう仕方ねえ。聞くだけは聞いてやるよ。要件を言ってみな。
私の同僚の処遇についてです。
About my partner.
すでにあなたは彼女に会っています。なら私からの提案は理解できると思いますが。
So what do you want? No, what I mean is what they are gonna do, or what are they gonna do to Miss Noelle? The executor's tone has grown cold. She speaks in a calm voice that imparts only fact, but her implication is plain. Executor Noelle is at her limit, both mentally and in terms of ability. She has nothing else to offer.
ああ、そういうこと。人事異動は俺の領分だ。片手間でいいなら請け負ってやるけどよ。いいのか？俺に預けるってことは好き勝手に使い潰すってことだぜ。
構いません。できれば近日中に手続きを。彼女はブローブ・アルハンゲリに血を吸われてもいます。問題ないレベルですが、万が一ということもあります。あなたの権限で汚染審査を行ってください。
She's saying it is not enough to cause a concern even though she was bitten though. But we'll find out, I guess.
万が一ね。ま、プラシーボ効果ってのもあるしな。俺から見てもありゃガタガタだ。早いとこ全身診察してやるとするか。それでてめえがこっちの邪魔をしなくなるってんなら安い買い物だ。
With that, their business is concluded. The boy departs, this time without interruption. Only the executor remains, her habit fluttering in the wind. She looks down upon the scene of destruction once more and breathes a small sigh. Let's see what happens to Miss Noelle though. She is incompetent. Her skill is not that good anymore. Gasping for air, we make it to the park. Luckily, we manage to escape unnoticed. I finally stopped to rest, panting like a dog. As for the princess by my side.
ごめんなさい。シキの体のこと、まだよく考えていなかった。
That's new. She actually expressed remorse. Maybe I'm too much of a pushover, but I can't stand to see her so forlorn.
いえ、結果的には誰にも見つからなかったし。俺もちょっと言い過ぎた。アルクエイドがぶっ飛んでるのは今に始まったことじゃないしな。だからそんなに気にしないでくれ。
そう？式が起こってないなら私も嬉しいけど。
ああ、怒ってない怒ってない。でもやりすぎなのは本当だぞ。次から大事を起こすときはせめて一声かけてからにしてくれ。
て。強力無比のコンビだものね。
Terrifying. And did she mean to say terrific? Hey, look at the eyes though. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen her like this. Oh. My consciousness flickers as my anemia seizes its chance. My knees buckle. It feels like the contents of my head are spilling out.
四季
As Arcueda rushes towards me, I raise a hand to tell her I'm okay.
少し疲れたみたいだ。ベンチに座れば落ち着くよ。
A lot of stuff are happening, man. Left and right. Not like totally a lot, but yeah, we go from the executors there, the people from the church, and now back to Arcueda and Shiki. I lower myself onto a nearby bench and catch my breath. Is she worried about me?
そっか、死の線を見すぎたのね。四季、あなたは自分の目をどこまで理解しているの？
With that, she adopts the mannerisms of a teacher and lunges into a lecture about my eyes. According to Arcuade, my eyes don't exactly see death, but rather decipher death. The lines are simply where death is exposed. The origin of those lines, the point is death itself. Seeing the lines requires going far beyond the limits of human perception and cognition. So overusing this ability will cause the brain to crash before the eyes. Due to the strain, it must be used in moderation.
なんだそりゃ。自分で俺を振り回しておいて。
Arcuade's selfishness is almost comical. She knows full well that my mystic eyes are the only thing I can offer. How can she order me to help her and then warn me not to overuse them? Her logic doesn't add up. She continues rambling about things I barely understand. Miss Arcuade is quite the lecturer. I nod and I nod as I listen. I've actually pretty much recovered already, but I opt not to cut her off and just stare at her instead. She looked so frail just a moment ago, but now she's practically glowing with energy.
ちょっと聞いてるの？私、四季は危ないって話をしているのよ。笑うところじゃないでしょ。
She's seriously angry at me. But it's not like I meant to laugh, and she's the one who got carried away with all her newfound zeal.
なんだよ、偉そうに。ブローブにやられた時は、そっちも危なかったくせに。
あの時はあの時でしょ。何よ、四季は私が苦しんでいた方がいいの？
No way. I don't want to see her like that again.
ああ、バランス的にお前は苦しんでるぐらいでちょうどいい。まあ、でも。
We're not talking about a balance here. For me personally, what I really want to say is...
元気なアルクエドを見ているのは嬉しい。お前はそのままが一番だと思うよ。
If I could have one wish, it'd be to see her smile like that forever. Like, come on, man. Like, Shiki's so happy that he can spend time with CL. And then at nighttime, he's like, yeah, I kinda like Arcuade as well. Wait, why is she charging at me?
待て、イノシシかお前。
I scramble to get up, knowing there's no way I'll be able to dodge her. But as I stand, Arcoade skids to a halt in front of me and grasps my hand in hers.
私も同じ。やっぱり一緒だね、私たち。
I gulp as I take in the purity of her smile. Thinking to reciprocate, I open my mouth to reply. But a head-splitting pain shoots through my brain at the worst possible moment. I only save myself from collapsing by grabbing onto the bench. I take a few deep breaths and ride out the dizziness. Fortunately, it was just one flash of pain. I should be able to get back up.
悪い。体力、まだ戻ってなかった。アルクエイドの言う通り、魔眼の使いすぎってやつだな。
Arcoade doesn't reply. Wait, what did you say? What did he say again? Okay. She's just gasped, like she's seen something she can scarcely believe.
そうなんだ。それは大変ね、シキ。
She lets out a giggle and then skips back to the center of the park square. The night grows later. Arcoade has much less to say, but I can tell she's in a good mood. So much that I have to wonder. We pass the time discussing our next move. Before I know it, it's past midnight.
もう日付が変わっちゃったね。今夜はここでお別れにしましょう。明日もよろしくね、シキ。
まあ、一日で終わることじゃないしな。待ち合わせ場所はここで、時間は今日と同じでいいか？
ええ。一日も待つのは退屈だけど、シキにはまだシキの生活があるものね。邪魔はできないわ。
Arcoade flashes me a brisk smile, then leaps clean out of the park. She sure knows how to make an exit.
って、感心してる場合じゃない。俺も早く戻らないと。
If I leave my room empty for too long, someone is going to realize, so I've snuck out, yes. I rush back to the mansion as fast as I can, knowing there's a good chance I'm already too late. It's well past midnight by now. The lights in the mansion are all out. Imagine if Hisobi was just there. I bypass the main entrance and slip in through the service door at the west wing. When I left, I used the same exit and luckily it's still unlocked. This is a new area we haven't been to. Or at least this screen, I guess. Yeah, it's different. Isui and Kohaku's rooms are in the west wing, so I tiptoe my way in to avoid awaking them. A sigh of relief escapes my lips as I sit down on my bed. All the walking I've done tonight must have exhausted me. It feels like the mattress is sucking me in. Again, I'm working with Arcoade. Fate just keeps dragging me back into her blast radius.
仕方ないよな。放っておけないんだから。
Or maybe I don't want to. Maybe I'm drawn to her in all her beauty and all her inhumanity. I feel a brief twinge of pain in my head, like being stabbed with a needle. That's odd. This headache felt different from the ones I've had before. Rather than a pang of pain, it was a pang of guilt. Like I'm rebuking myself for being so foolish as to think of her as beautiful. Slowly, I close my eyes. Sleep takes me over, a giant hand pulling my body and my consciousness into a deep darkness. As I fall helplessly into the darkness, I try to recall why Dad would be foolish, but my thoughts disintegrate before I can. I cannot sleep. I must have too much on my mind. Too many things to think about. Thinking about Arcade, thinking about CL, thinking about all the battles they've been through. Closing my eyes throws my thoughts into a sharper relief. And now that I'm awake, I won't be able to fall back asleep anytime soon. Giving up, I roll out of bed. Might as well do some reading. I put on my jacket to stay warm and search through my belongings. Unfortunately, I can only find books that I've already read, but I'm just killing time anyway, so I don't need anything new. I moved to the adjoining sunroom, holding a book I've read many times over. It's nice to have a room just for reading. Sinking into the chair, I flip through the pages. What is he reading? The first emotion I ever felt of all things was pity. Not anger, not despair. It seemed that everything I laid my eyes upon was miserable. The most miserable of all, of course, being myself. He was born at the end of the 15th century. The child of a wealthy family, he received the best education money could buy and grew up healthy in both mind and body. So, this is just a book, right? This is nothing to the story. A benevolent soul, he revealed corruption, avoiding any and all vices. Those around him regarded him as a child prodigy and believed without a doubt that he would bring them a great prosperity. However, he defied his parents' wishes for him to inherit their lands, instead setting his eyes on the doors to the house of God. In this age, the corruption of the church was at its height. The greed of the powerful had infected its roots, and the fruit had nearly fallen from the tree. His parents were disappointed, but nonetheless gave him their blessings to follow his aspirations, in the hope perhaps that he could excise the corruption that had spread throughout the land. By all rights, it would be impossible for a single man with no patron to change the world, but he passed through many cities, befriended many people, watched many new developments come to fruition. Throughout all this, he arrived at the same single conclusion. Human beings are magnificent. Of all the Lord's creations, they are the most superior. They may be weak, frail, noisy, irredeemable creatures, but their soul redeeming quality outweighs all their ugliness. For as long as humans exist, they are compelled to search for meaning in this. He saw the Lord's design. He met new people on a near daily basis. Residents of the city, visitors to the city, he welcomed them all. He found joy in learning about the life of every stranger he spoke with. In each and every person's life, there is a truth to be learned. Many of those lives were unremarkable, many were even reprehensible, but none were without a meaning. He endeavored to know as many humans as he could. His compatriots laughed at him, saying 10 people was enough. His teachers chided him, bidding to stop at 100. The clergy praised him, encouraging him to know 10,000. Only one foresaw the hell that lay ahead of him, his closest friend. Just as his friend had warned around the time he had carefully recorded 1,000 lives, he ran up against a wall. That is not to say that he lost heart because they were uninteresting or inconsequential. If anything, it was the opposite. He wanted to know more. 1,000 people, 2,000 people would not suffice. He must collect more and more truths. But still, it would not be enough. It would never even be close to enough. Even should he befriend someone new every day, by the age of 60, he still would not have met everyone in the city. But even worse, humanity was growing in number, the world would only keep expanding, new possibilities would be born with every passing day. Why must humans be afforded so little time? He looked back on his life and saw that from that day he was born, he had never known personal happiness. Those around him called him a child prodigy, but they were mistaken. He was a man of exceedingly average talent. If a people's abilities were quantified numerically, the total value of his would be no different to anyone else. However, his parameters would display a dramatic skew. He was far less concerned with the inner workings of people than he was with those of the world. While he was fascinated with the aggregate, he possessed no capacity to love the individual. While he strove tirelessly for higher understanding, he lacked any worldly ambition. While he looked constantly to the future, he was unable to appreciate the present. In other words, he was extraordinarily human. But even then, he remained a man of incomparable virtue. He loved the values that humans held dear, the lives led by the virtuous. His faith was more fervent than anyone else's. While he was unable to reform the religious world by himself, it would only be fair to concede that he did inspire change. For a while, his love of humanity stifled his love for people, and while he eventually strayed from the path for a time, he was nothing less than a living saint. So, does this story connect to anything? This story dates from before he began his study. When he was yet a child, his mind was mature, which is why even as a child, he refused to accept that any mystery he encountered lay beyond his reach. For the boy who understood the whole of society, there was no such thing. Rain, clouds, even ghosts all had rational explanations. To him, the only true mystery was that which mankind as a whole could not decipher, then which others would accept as just the way it is. Then explained was the last refuge of his childhood innocence or childish innocence, and his fervor for it shone like a star, brighter by far than the ordinary passions of youth. Consequently,
私は今でも覚えている。父の目を盗んで一夜だけの旅に出たあの時間を。 何の支えもなく私を見つめていたあの石の不思議さ。
The white disk gleaming in the sky, the clouds that obscured it. What is that? What is its purpose? How does it exist? Anticipation, intrigue, fear, these were the feelings that welled up inside him when faced with something he could not reach. They took root in his breast like a shining star. That was his beginning and his impetus. Oh, how grave his sin, oh, how deep his foolishness. For he prayed to the Lord above one day understand or to one day understand all the universe. In the years to come, he would learn the truth that the grand understanding to which he had dedicated his life had already been discovered by his forebears. That in the name of oppression, the house of God hoarded the world's knowledge behind its doors. Mathematics, astronomy, geology, history, architecture, economics, medicine, agriculture, and alchemy, later to be known as science. In this era, the House of God was but an intellectual graveyard, securing all of man's advances under a lock and key, even as it touted itself as the world's greatest educational institution. Primates created tools, people created civilization, scholars studied the stars and devised ways to observe them. They surmised the vastness of the universe long before they ever crafted wings to lift them off the ground. They had long known the nature of the rock he saw in the sky that night. Not even the innermost workings of the earth were barred to them. Every possible question had already been answered. Every mystery had already been solved. As a nameless philosopher once said, man will spend his next 1,000 years proving what he has already surmised. All the world would be rendered comprehensible. All the universe would be given meaning. But this understanding brought him no joy. Instead, he was gripped by fear and anger beyond description. It was only because I had already given up that I was able to accept it. But what now? What am I to do with this knowledge? There will come a day when humans will know everything. Yet this body of mine will expire long before it comes to pass. Compared to the vastness of the world, one human life is cruelly short. He had dedicated his life to knowing everything, but would die knowing nothing. He searched for the meaning of human life and learned that it had none. Any person should understand what a pitiable conclusion that is. In that moment, he first knew the terror of death. I fear death. I fear atrophy. I fear a world without an end. Even after acquiring so much knowledge, I still know nothing. It is not my own annihilation that frightens me. What truly terrifies me is losing my purpose. I must devise a new approach. Eternity does not yet exist on this earth. This world is still growing, still changing. All I can do is wait until it is complete. He stepped off the path. He turned his back on the stairway to heaven. What he wished for, what he sought, was simple. He wanted to know everything. And to do that, he needed unlimited time. How ironic. The man who feared the unlimited growth of humans pursued unlimited time as his solution. Well, if you're going to leave, you pick a good time. Gutenberg's machine is going to hit us as hard as it hits the association. To say nothing of the Reformation, we'll both have a rough go at things for some time. Naturally, their side will take the greater fall. Widespread printing will put an end to all forms of superstition, the foundation of mystics will be shaken to the core. But you already knew that, didn't you? If both sides have their hands full, a delusional wonderkind might just be able to sneak off the castle of the true ancestors and get his hands on eternity. Talk about profiting from disaster. You misjudge me though. Vampires may be resilient to aging and death, but they are a far cry from the eternity I seek. At best, they are a work in progress. No, I intend to simply take my own life and greet my end. A human. Really? Ironic for a man who lived forever to burn out so fast. So does it mean that you'll be leaving the church tomorrow? I am entrusting the burial department to your care. Now that my father's inheritance is spent, I have no more hope of rising to bishop, so now is the time. Look at us, you the son of a wealthy landowner and me with only stigmata to my name, and neither of us with the hope of making bishop, and now we can't even lick each other's wounds. Well, such is the life, I suppose. So you plan to continue working on your magecraft theory then? I have no intention of leaving the church, so I am afraid I won't be joining you in eternal life. Fortunately, we women have other ways. I will bear children and tell them of you. Intriguing. What will you tell them, Narbarek? The name is Narbarek. Who is this, by the way? That's a new dead apostle will rise in 100 years' time, and that they should just ignore it because fighting it will be futile. Hopefully, it will not take that long. In fact, I would be disappointed if the Inquisition didn't come for me within your lifetime. I intend to make a vampire of the highest caliber. 10 years ought to be enough. Don't be so absurd. You'll be starting over as a zombie. Even a once-in-a-decade talent like you will still need a century to climb the ranks. Their world is not as kind as ours. It's the closest thing on this earth to hell. Perhaps so, if I took the orthodox route. If it were to begin at the highest echelons, however, the rules of the world need not apply. How cryptic. What are you proposing then? Why, it's simple. As you know, a dead apostle's power depends on a true ancestor who drank their blood. Therefore, if I am to be the strongest dead apostle, I need only seek out the strongest true ancestor. Also, is this vlog? Okay, so I suppose that was vlog, right? Yeah, that was kind of his intention, right? Vlog or Roa, but I think it's vlog. So, the story that we saw was about him? I'm not sure, obviously, but I think it is. But we'll see. But yeah, that was a long story though. Nothing really happened on the other side, but I guess he has some conversations with Father Mario there, and CL, I was gonna say Noel, but CL, and then some with Arcuade, and then yeah, little by little she's just being weird again, but then Shiki still likes her anyways. So what is gonna happen though? What is gonna happen in the next one? We're gonna find out. So we're gonna continue this and do more of Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon, in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.